That's
That's
fair.
really like at the core, that's what it is.
So this next point, the second point, and the reason I'm focusing so much is I really like that portion on your start engine is about virtual reality content is lacking because that's what shows me the start of the vision, right? Those are the core pillars of like this is what I believe, and we go from there. And number two gets real kind of messy because I'm gonna mess it up. I'm gonna add too much into number two, but we can piece it out. Your point number two in the virtual reality content is lacking was that PC and console games lack social depth. So where I want to start that conversation is where I started the tweet that kind of started this whole thing. And based on this conversation we've had so far, we've kind of hit that part where wanting to know about VAIL, it's a hard question because there's the gameplay portion, there's the competitive portion, and there's the social based portion, which are all core pillars to this game, to you, and to this start engine, and what I can pick up. Let's start with the vision because I think that's where things got muddied so much on my comment and the community is your start engine page really does focus primarily on the competitive aspect. Yet there's a lot of talk, whether this conversation or online articles about the social aspects. Where how are you navigating that where you want to have this social aspect to this game, which I fully am on board with. I agree with you. I think most of the top VR games have a social aspect, but you're going to have to walk this fine line between the competitive sweats and the competitive aspect, which people take very seriously, and the social aspect, which is almost different than a competitive game. Tell me about this ultimate vision for VAIL between how are those two going to mix well?
So everyone loads into the game the same way. Everybody pops up into their house. The second that you load into the game, you're in your virtual armory, your house. Whenever you open up your tablet or your iPad inside of VR, you get to decide. Similar to VR chat, if you can go to Worlds. So think of the armory as just like the lobby. All the social thing really is a gamer's lobby reimagined with additional features. So it doesn't affect the competitive players in any way, shape, or form. And for the actual social players, the fact that we focus so deeply on true proper net code to have like very proper like it's just everything, it's very high fidelity, very high quality. We really try to focus on that. It actually helps the social players because if you were just trying to focus on a social game, you probably wouldn't put that much attention to proper net code because when you're shooting bullets, you need proper hit registration. In social, things don't have to be that responsive. You can have a little bit of lag in it, really. So I think the social players just really benefit. And I imagine that a lot of competitive players probably won't use the social, and I believe a lot of people will come just to use the social. Really, I've always had a vision that we always want to do whatever the community wants. We started off as a competitive shooter. We focus on the community. I love talking to people. I spent all day on Discord trying to like get to know everybody and like seeing like what problems they have, what they like, what they don't like, and I like playing with them. Like it's something that really brings me passion and joy. I saw people doing the social thing. It kind of started off as like a joke. Like people would hang out in the armory and we're like, why are they even doing this? I'm like, let's throw a chessboard in there, be cool. And we started seeing the game hours just going up, just playing chess. And then we're like, all right, let's throw a little arts and crafts thing. And we just really started throwing out these feelers, and the community really dug it. And we just started adding more and more to it. And the end goal of this is to be a sandbox where people can pretty much do whatever it is that they want within their homes. And if they want to go in and out of homes to friends' houses, like let them build whatever it is that they want. We don't want to guess. We just want to give the people the tools to build what they want, but it will not affect the competitive side. And people for the competitive side, I think it's a cool place just to hang out in between matches. And I also have a vision where people can go into like social servers and do pickup games or like meet people that are like-minded, have certain topics or subjects that they all like, and I'll give you an example. Like one of the campaigns I ran quite a while ago when I was letting people in for the first big wave of VAIL is I said, if you come with 4 friends, I'll give you all keys because I wanted to foster this sense of like you're here with your friends. Whenever I play games with friends, I play a lot longer than if I don't have friends.
I would
Um,
fully agree with
and
that.
it feels good,
Yeah.
right? So then a lot of people came to me and did that after I went through all the waves of the VRML players coming with their groups of friends playing. That was the first wave of players, like pretty much like a majority of the VRML teams. Then some people would hit me up saying, "Oh, I don't have friends." So what I would do is I'd pair people up and make them be friends, and then it'd be like, "All right, I put you guys in a group chat. Here's your 5 keys. Go play together." And I like doing that because I like friends. I think it makes it fun. I think the retention's longer. It's more enjoyable for everybody. Really, the reason why people play games, especially multiplayer games, I hope, is to make friends or be with friends.
Yeah,
So,
I wanna press you on that a little bit because I think
go ahead.
you're right. For the record, I think you're right. I think, especially in a first-person shooter, which is impersonal. When you think about it, you're pointing guns at other people. It is an inherently impersonal game because the ultimate goal is to kill the other players around and not speak with them. It's to kill them before they kill you. Do not interact, which is super fun. It is. That's why people love first-person shooters. But it doesn't bring people back. What brings people back is playing with their friends, is socializing, talking. The tougher question is when you pitch your game as a competitive shooter and a hyper competitive, like the esports standard. I might be overstating that boundary, but an esports standard. How do you get people in the door with that vision, and then over time convince them that these social aspects that you're putting priority on? So someone might come say, "Hey, I'm here for the social. I'm here for the competitive shit. That's my jam." And then they see an article about adding VR hockey or VR chess to the social scene, and then they want to clap back. Sort of what I did, almost, right? How do you convince people like me? Well, I'm already on your side, but let's take someone who's not thinking social first. How do you convince these competitive first, the way your game's pitched, that these social ads are actually good for the whole? How do you bridge that gap? Because I think that's the question here. When people push back on you guys for throwing hockey, chess, DJs, whatever in there, because they want competitive, that's the hard part. How do you get that vision where everyone agrees that that's the right way?
Look, I'll tell you that I don't know. As you could tell, my marketing message was obviously not that perfect. In my own community, I had a lot of people that have already played, and a lot of people do the Veil Social without even knowing, right? We just put a name on it. It's already the same thing that's been being used for a while. We're just announcing it and giving it a name. So the people that did it were like, oh, this makes sense. This is cool. It's going to bring in a lot of users. More users equals better, matchmaking. Like, hopefully those users will play some games. A lot of people from the outside, though, even some investors that, probably haven't played the game for a while or don't even have a VR headset, they were just very confused. So I realized immediately that I definitely fucked up the messaging because it wasn't a smooth transition. Some of the things I'm thinking about is I need to be more public. I need to do more things like this with you. So that's why I know we spoke, and I appreciate you helping me like kind of give the full picture, because I believe when people know the full picture, it makes sense.
Yes.
But I live it day in and day out. Some people, probably saw us 6 months ago. Now they're seeing us for the first time. They hear it's a competitive shooter. Now it's social. It's very confusing. My end goal really is attract as many players as possible, give them the tools for them to build whatever it is that they want, and hopefully this helps fuel the player base for the actual competitive and even casual game lobbies.
Yep. And the reason I bring that up too is, and I think this is a good thing, because you and I had a long conversation well before, I mean, what, like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, something like that.
Yeah.
I played the game. We talked the other night. Like, I can tell you, out of many VR developers that I've spoken with, like, I feel pretty comfortable being upfront and honest with you. And I can tell you, when we had that conversation the other night where you're expressing that my vocal tweet is also something other people think about, it sucks to hear because I want you to succeed. And then we start speaking here, and I have no problem being open and honest with you that sometimes when I ask you, what Veil's about, it goes 10 other directions. And that vision can be hard to explain. But ultimately, what I want from this conversation is I want people to go to your Discord. I want them to see Veil News. I want them to eventually get into testing, hopefully. And I want them to see what this is about in some type of way where you can have the floor to speak, open your mind, and give a little bit of everything. But I want you to hone in, like, talk about Veil, talk about what it is, and feel open and feel secure that, yeah, your vision might be a little all over the place at times, but typically that's from people who care about their product. If your vision wasn't all over the place and you were hyper focused on one thing, that's probably worse off, I think, than being a little too broad, in my opinion.
I actually agree, and just one of the things that really, like, I'm a gamer my whole life, and I've realized that some people make games trying to guess. Games take a long time to make. Some people make games trying to guess what the community or the users in the future might want to do 4 or 5 years from now. It's very hard.
I think most VR games do. It's I've said it before. It's building the plane, right? Building the plane as we fly it. I mean, that's what we're doing.
Yeah, but for me, I'm open to pivoting no matter what. I mean, sometimes people make a certain game expecting it to be played a certain way, and they have ego to that way. Some developers, if people want to come into Veil and hit each other over the head with the plunger, and that's what they want to do, I'm gonna make them a plunger. Like I actually got asked this recently, but just to let you know, like that's how I'm open to doing whatever it is that the players want, because who am I to be egomaniac and say this is the way that I want it to be played and this is the way that I want the game to be happening, and if you don't play it this way, fuck off.
You do have that. Like I hear your thought, but you do also have that right. It is your baby, and you're bringing it to us. Like we are lucky. You know, I say this a lot when I see a game come out. I can think of a couple. I'm not going to name them, but they're up on like SideQuest and AppLab, and I see them listening to everybody, trying to implement everything. But every now and then I sit back and I think, like, it is my privilege to be able to play your vision. You know what I mean? It's art.
That's interesting.
And sometimes I'm like, if I had all the answers and all the abilities to make the perfect item, I would do it, but I don't. So what I get to do is I get to live vicariously through other people's visions. I get to experience their mind and maybe what they thought is best for me, because I'm biased, man. Everything that I think is best for me comes from the veil of everything I think. I'm all biased. So sometimes I want to sit back, not have my voice heard, and be shown the artistic value that that person wants to provide, because that's my privilege to experience that. If I had a say in every damn movie I watch, they would all be the same movie. They'd be the same damn thing, right? So sometimes I think, and I hear, and this is kind of what I was going with, is that I think sometimes you should just go with your vision. Stop listening to people to a degree, because it's our privilege also to see this baby that you're making, if that makes sense.
No, I had never heard it like that, and that actually feels really nice to say, bro. Like, I never thought about it like that.
Hit that subscribe button to stay on top of the daily clips, or catch the debates and Fireside Chats live on the main channel down in the video description. See you next time, Space Cowboys.